Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Nanda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. New Mayapur Dham ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Garaka. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. It's such a wonderful honor and blessing to be here with all of you, New Mayapur Dham. I've only been here one other time before, and I think it was about 20 years ago. So I've seen this beautiful outfit of the deities online. I'm very happy I get to see them in their butterfly outfit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 8, verse 22. Okay. Tanvan Griruman Anukrishya Sharish Vipanto. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Tannadarishta Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Tannadarishta Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatra Antimatro. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatra Antimatro. Tavangri Yugman Anukrishya Shari Shripanto. Tavangri Yugman Anukrishya Shari Shripanto. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Tannadarishya Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Tannadarishya Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatur Atimatro. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatur Atimatro. Shadvangri Yugma Madhu Krishna Sarispripanto. Shadvangri Yugma Madhu Krishna Sarispripanto. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Vajakardameshu. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Vajakardameshu. Tannadarishta Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Tannadarishta Manasa Vanusritya Lokam. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatra Antimatro. Mukta Pravita Vadupe Yatra Antimatro. Tavangri Yugma Manukrishya Sarisripanto. Tavangri Yugma Manukrishya Sarisripanto. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram Rajakardameshu. Tannadarishta Manasav Anuristya Lokam. Can't see. Okay. Any of the ladies?
Tadagre yugma manuprisya staris rispanto.
Tadagre yugma manuprisya staris rispanto.
Gosha pragosha ruchiram prajakartameshu.
Gosha pragosha ruchiram prajakartameshu.
Tannadarishta manasav anusritya lokam.
Tannadarishta manasav anusritya lokam.
Mugda pradita varupe yatu antimatro.
Mugda pradita varupe yatu antimatro.
Anyone else? Toe. Krishna and Balaram. Anukryugman Anukrishya. Dragging their legs. Sari Shrishpanto. Crawling like snakes. Gosha Pragosha Ruchiram. Producing a sound with their ankle bells that was very, very sweet to hear. Brajakardameshu. Is that the microphone? Oh, it's the bell, I'm sorry. In the mud created by cow dung. And cow urine on the earth of Brajabhumi. Tatnada. By the sound of those ankle bells. Shrishta Manaso. Being very much pleased. Anushrutya. Following. Lokam. Other persons. Mugda. Thus being enchanted. Prabhitavat. Then again being afraid of them. Upeyatu. Immediately returned. Antimatro. Toward their mothers. Translation. When Krishna and Balaram, with the strength of their legs, crawled in the muddy places created in Braj by cow dung and cow urine, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents, and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. Very much pleased by the sound of other people's ankle bells, they used to follow these people as if going to their mothers. But when they saw that these were other people, they became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yashoda and Rohini. Purport. When Krishna and Balaram were crawling about Brajabhumi, they were enchanted by the sound of ankle bells. Thus they sometimes followed other people who would enjoy the crawling of Krishna and Balaram and exclaim, "Oh, see how Krishna and Balaram are crawling." Upon hearing this, Krishna and Balaram could understand that these were not their mothers they were following, and they would return to their actual mothers. Thus the crawling of Krishna and Balaram was enjoyed by the people of the neighborhood, as well as by Mother Yashoda and Rohini and the two children themselves. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuanmilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Such a sweet part of the Bhagavatam, hearing about Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram's childhood pastimes and how they enchanted everyone in Brajabhumi. There was no one who was enchanted. Even when the demons came on Kamsa's order, even when the demons came, they would have this momentary, astonishment at the beauty of Krishna and Balaram. And I was thinking about how we don't hear so much about Vatsalya Ras and all the deep emotions and feelings and exchanges we do here in 10th canto, but usually there's much more talk about other rasas. So I thought, if that's all right with you all, I'd like to share some nectar about the Vatsalya Ras from Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. So it's actually described of all of the devotees of the Lord in all the universes, the one who is the most exalted in Vatsalya Ras. Any guesses? Mother Yashoda. And next after Mother Yashoda? Nanda Maharaj, yes. Also, Mother Rohini, the mother of Balaram, and all the elderly gopis, especially those whose sons were taken by Lord Brahma. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that pastime too. Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva, and the other 15 wives of Vasudeva. I was like, 15? 16 wives? I didn't know he had 16 wives. Some or other, I always miss that. And then Kunti, the mother of Arjuna, and Vasudeva, the real father of Krishna, and Sandipani Muni, Krishna's teacher. All these are considered respectable elderly personalities with parental love for Krishna. And this list that I just went through is in order of superior importance. And thus, we can see that Mother Yashoda and Maharaj Nanda are considered to be the supermost in this Vatsalya Ras. In the Vatsalya Rati is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When a living entity is situated on the platform of Vatsalya Rati, he thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his childhood feature. In this feature, the Lord has to be protected by the devotee. Right? We know this from Krishna book and from 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, how Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai, the other cowherd men and women, they're always thinking of how to protect Krishna and how to make sure he's well fed and he gets the best yogurt and the best milk sweets, and how they don't even like him going barefoot in the forest because of his tender lotus feet. So these devotees in Vatsalya Ras, they're always thinking how to protect Krishna. And they want to maintain the Lord like their son. And they're always desiring good fortune. They're chanting mantras, they're anointing the Lord with special mixtures and doing everything they can. They're praying to the devas. They're everything they can to take care of Krishna, to protect him from any harm. And they consider that it's their responsibility to maintain Krishna. They're not thinking Krishna's my maintainer. They're thinking, it's my duty. I have to maintain Krishna. So in the Vatsalya Ras, there's actually several other rasas as well. And let's see where that is. The combination of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsal. So they have all of these rasas going on, all of these qualities in order to take care of Krishna. And the love that they have is just, it's only surpassed by the gopis' love, the love of those in Madhurya Ras. But otherwise, the Vatsalya Ras it's so extreme, how they're never able to forget Krishna for a moment. Waking, sleeping, always thinking of Krishna. Quote, when ecstatic love develops into the relationship of parenthood and becomes steadily established, the relationship is called Vatsalya Ras. The exhibition of this Vatsalya Ras standard of devotional service can be found in the dealings of Krishna with his devotees, who represent themselves as superior personalities like father, mother, and teacher. Learned scholars have described the impetuses for parental love for Krishna existing in the elderly personalities who are in relation with him as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose bodily complexion is just like a bluish, new-grown lotus flower, whose body is very delicate, and whose lotus eyes are surrounded by scattered hair as black as bees, was walking on the streets of Vrindavan when Mother Yashoda, the beloved wife of Nanda Maharaj, saw him. Immediately the milk began to flow from her breasts, soaking her body. So in this quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, hearing the descriptions of Krishna's beautiful bluish complexion. I researched once, I'm also a wannabe artist, and there's so many descriptions of blue lotus flowers, but we don't see them. They're not available on planet Earth right now. I think it's just been since, Kali Yuga, because even in a lot of Chinese art, they also show blue lotuses. So, but we know at the time of Krishna's advent, there were blue lotus flowers, as well as pink and white. It's described in our scriptures. And also in the verse today, just how enchanted Mother Yashoda and Rohini are watching Krishna and Balaram crawling around in this mud. And the mud, the sacred land of Vrajabhumi, the mud's created by the urine and of the cows. So you have the good fortune here of also having Krishna's cows, and I don't know if any of your children crawl around in the mud created by the cow urine. But if so, you can think of these pastimes with Krishna and Balaram, and how everyone in Braj is taking pleasure in the Lord's childhood pastimes. They're all completely enchanted. They're just intoxicated with their attraction for Krishna and Balaram, and they're at every moment. So the other mothers and fathers, they're more enchanted. They're more obsessed with Krishna and Balaram than their own sons and their own daughters. And this was especially apparent when these devotees, they're actually praying and delighting in Krishna and Balaram's pastimes, so much so that Krishna made a special arrangement for them that they would be able to get to experience that of having Krishna as their son. Normally this is reserved for Yashoda Mai and Nanda Maharaj, but Krishna likes to please his devotees so much. It's reciprocal. The devotees want to please Krishna, and Krishna wants to please his devotees. So there's also wonderful descriptions how this parental love for Krishna is increased, not only by his bodily hue, which we just read is bluish, sometimes it's described as blackish, like the tamal tree, but also all of his auspicious bodily features, and his mildness, his sweet words, his simplicity, his shyness, his humility. I was thinking, I don't remember reading about Krishna's humility. Usually we hear about his pranks, and he loves to tease, and he loves to trick, and so many things. But I think, okay, he also has his humility that attracts his devotees to him. His constant readiness to offer respect to the elders, to his elders, and charity. All of these qualities are considered ecstatic provocations for parental love. Nice to think about all of that, right? In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, 8th chapter, it's coming up, verse 45, Sukadeva Goswami states that Mother Yashoda accepted Lord Krishna as her son, although he is accepted in the Vedas as the king of heaven, in the Upanishads as the impersonal Brahman, in philosophy as the supreme male, by the yogis as the super soul, and by the devotees as the supreme personality of Godhead. Once Mother Yashoda addressed one of her friends in this way, Nanda Maharaj, the leader of the cowherd men, worship Lord Vishnu. And I also worship Lord Vishnu. And as a result of this worship, Krishna has been saved from the clutches of Putana and other demons. The twin Arjuna trees were, of course, broken due to a strong wind. And although Krishna appeared to have lifted Govardhan Hill along with Balaram, I think that Nanda Maharaj actually held the mountain. I mean, otherwise, how could it have been possible for a little boy to lift such a great hill? So this is another example of ecstasy in parental love. And this kind of parental love is generated in a devotee out of his or her conviction in love that they're superior to Krishna, and that without being taken care of by such a devotee, Krishna could not possibly live. One devotee therefore prayed to the parents of Lord Krishna as follows: "Let me take shelter of the elderly parental devotees of Lord Krishna. They are always anxious to serve Krishna and to maintain him, and they are always so kind to him. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto them for being so kind to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the parent of the whole universe." So both Vasudeva and Devaki, they often knew that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered prayers. But you'll never find any prayers from Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj to Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yoga Maya keeps them convinced he's their dependent son, and they have to take care of him. And they're always praying for his protection and chanting mantras for his protection. There's another prayer by a devotee, description like this: "Let me be given protection by Mother Yashoda, whose curly hairs are bound with thread, whose hair is brightly beautified by the vermilion placed in the part, and whose bodily frame derides all her ornaments. Her eyes are always engaged in seeing the face of Krishna, and thus they are always filled with tears. Her complexion, which resembles the bluish lotus flower, is enhanced in beauty by her dressing herself with many colorful garments. Let her merciful glance fall on all of us, so that we may be protected from the clutches of Maya and smoothly progress in our devotional service." Isn't that a nice prayer? Thinking like, oh, yeah, want to be reminded to pray to Mother Yashoda. Yes. And there's another description of Mother Yashoda's affection for Krishna. Do you want to hear it? After rising early in the morning, Mother Yashoda first of all offered her breast milk to Krishna, and then she began to chant various mantras for his protection. Then she would decorate his forehead very nicely and bind his arms with protective talismans. By all of these activities, it is definitely understood that she is the emblem of all maternal affection for Krishna. That reminded me, I don't know if any of you know Balai Devi Dasi, one of Prabhupada's very first disciples, and very, very dear older sister for me. And she had one of the first children that was born in the movement. And Prabhupada would come, he would ask her regularly, is she chanting Hare Krishna yet? And she was newborn, and then when she was a very young infant. And Balai would say, "No, Srila Prabhupada, not yet." Prabhupada said, "That is all right. She is drinking Hare Krishna." And Prabhupada said that the breast milk of the mother is Maha Prashadam. The description of Nanda Maharaj's bodily features is as follows. The hairs on his head are generally black, but some of them are gray. His garments are of greenish color, like the new-grown leaves of a banyan tree. His belly is fatty. His complexion is exactly like the full moon. And he has a beautiful mustache. When Krishna was a baby, one day he was walking in the courtyard capturing the finger of his father. And because he could not walk steadily, he appeared to be almost falling down. While Nanda Maharaj was giving protection to his transcendental son in this way, all of a sudden there were drops of tears in his eyes, and he became overwhelmed with joy. Let us all offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of King Nanda. When Nanda Maharaj saw the beauty of child Krishna, with tiger nails on his chest, a complexion like the new-grown tamal tree, beautifully decorated tilak made with cow's urine, arm decorations of nice silk thread, and silk clothes tied around his waist, when Nanda Maharaj saw his child like this, he never became satiated by the child's beauty. Have any of you ever put tilak on with cow urine? I haven't. And I didn't. Does anyone know what tiger nails on Krishna's chest? I've never read any further description, and I was wondering if anyone else has. Oh, the claws.
Yeah.
Oh, a tiger claw. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Thank you. So, how many of you are familiar with the Brahma Vimoha Leela of Krishna? Yeah, such a sweet Leela. How long does class usually go? What's the timing?
8:34.
Oh, okay. So we have time? All right. Everyone wants to hear more? It's actually described that by hearing the Lord's transcendental pastimes, it's what purifies our mind and our heart and actually prepares us to, by the mercy of our spiritual master, one day have the personal association and service with the Lord. So it's very sweet, especially in the assembly of devotees, to hear and chant and remember, discuss these pastimes. You know, in Vrindavan, that's all they do. Day, all day, all night, early morning, late at night, everyone's just talking about Krishna and what he did today and what he did yesterday, and that's what they do. So if we want to become residents of Vrindavan, this is our practice ground. So to give pleasure to Lord Brahma, as well as the mothers of the calves, so the cow mothers and the human mothers, the mothers of the cowherd boys, it's described that Krishna, the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation, expanded himself as the calves and the boys. So this was his Vasudeva feature, that Krishna simultaneously expanded himself into all of the missing cowherd boys and calves with their exact bodily features. And it's described, each of the boys has different hands, different legs, different sticks, different flutes, different bugles, different buffalo horns, different lunch bags that they carry to and from the forest, and all of their paraphernalia, all of their dress, all of their ornaments, their turbans, their crown, whatever they're wearing, everything exactly expanded. And Krishna proved the statement, Samagra Jagat Vishnu Mayam, that Lord Vishnu is all-pervading. So, I think you all know the backstory on this, but Lord Brahma he wasn't antagonistic, he just was curious. Is this my Lord? He's a young cowherd boy. It was the same day as Krishna had killed Aghasura. The boys were just 5 years old. They were still taking care of the cows. And so after Krishna killed Aghasura, it was a little late. They were late for their lunch, so they sat on the bank of the Yamuna, and they all took out their lunch, and they're very playful children, and they share. Their mothers always pack extra prasad so that they can share it with one another and offer something to Krishna. And this day was Balaram's birthday, so Balaram wasn't there. He was kept back by his mother to do his ritualistic bath and other things, giving charity. So he wasn't there that day that Krishna killed Aghasura, and the day that Brahma was watching this from above, watching first the killing of Aghasura, and then Krishna just playing like an ordinary cowherd boy with his friends. They were sitting Krishna was at the head of the circle so everyone could see him, and they would just never get tired of seeing Krishna, not even for a moment. They never tire. So everybody's busy looking at Krishna, and Krishna's giving his beautiful glance to each and every boy, and they're eating their lunch, and the calves have wandered off. And they've wandered off, and the boys get an anxiety that the calves are wandering, and Krishna says, don't disturb your lunch, I'll take care of it. So Krishna gets up and goes, and from Brahma's watching, from his viewpoint, Krishna's looking a little baffled, like just an ordinary boy. Where are the calves? So he's going further and further into the forest looking for the calves. And we know where the calves were. Brahma took them. So while Krishna's gone, now he takes all the cowherd boys. So then, when Krishna can't find the calves, he comes back to the Yamuna, and now he can't find his friends. Where are the friends? And he's acting again. He's got the same yogurt and fruit that was in his hand when he told the boys when he was eating lunch. He's wandering around the forest with this in his hand, and he's looking confused and bewildered. Where are the calves? And now where are the boys? And Brahma's watching this, and he's been put, Krishna's Maya, Krishna's illusion, he's not understanding what's going on. He's thinking that he's not sure who is Krishna. And then Krishna, Brahma, he just goes away for a moment. In his time, it's just a moment. But it's a whole year on earth. So in that moment that Balaram takes the calves and the cowherd boys away, in that year, Krishna decides he's going to teach Brahma a good lesson. So he expands into all the calves and all the cowherd boys and continue playing. And then when they return to Vrindavan, the mothers hear the flutes in the distance, and they all come out to greet the boys. And they greet their boys, they lift them onto their laps, they embrace them, they feed them with their breast milk, and now they're feeling such great love for their sons, just as if they're Krishna. The same kind of love and attachment that they have for Krishna, they're feeling for their sons. And they're taking special pleasure in feeding Krishna from their own bodies. And Krishna is taking special pleasure in the expanded cowherd boys. He's taking special pleasure in being fed by each and every one of these cowherd women who love him so much. Prabhupada writes in the purport, although all the elderly gopis, actually I'm not sure if it was Prabhupada or his disciples, I think it's Prabhupada's disciples, although all the elderly gopis knew that Krishna was the son of Mother Yashoda, they still desired, if Krishna had become my son, I also would take care of him like Mother Yashoda. This was their inner ambition. Now, in order to please them, Krishna personally took the role of their sons and fulfilled their cherished desire. They enhanced their special love for Krishna by embracing him and feeding him, and Krishna tasted their breast milk to be just like a nectarian beverage. While thus bewildering Brahma, he enjoyed the special transcendental pleasure created by Yoga Maya between all the other mothers and himself. This is the magic of Vrindavan and the magic of Krishna, that he can simultaneously please all of his devotees. First, he's making them hanker to be able to love him more and serve him and be able to offer all the same services that Mother Yashoda does. And they never envious of Mother Yashoda, but rather aspiring to be like her, to have as much love and as much devotion and care that Yashoda has for Krishna, they want also to have for Krishna. So when the Krishna and the cowherd boys returned every day from the forest, their mothers took care of them so much, massaging them with oil, bathing them, smearing their bodies with sandalwood pulp, decorating them with ornaments, chanting protective mantras, decorating their bodies with tilak, feeding them. In this way, all of the mothers of Vrindavan got to serve Krishna personally. Same thing happened with the cows and the calves. So when the calves entered the sheds and began mooing loudly, well, the cows, they called to their calves, and when the calves came, the mothers were licking their bodies again and again and feeding them with their milk. And it's described that these cows already had a new batch of calves. These were the older calves. They weren't drinking their mother's milk anymore, but now they are. So, although the inhabitants of Rajabhumi, the cowherd men and cowherd women, previously had more affection for Krishna than for their own children, now for this whole year, their affection for their own sons continued to increase and increase now that Krishna had become their sons. Every day they found new inspiration for loving their children as much as they loved Krishna. Now, Yogamaya was also covering Lord Balaram. It wasn't until 5 or 6 days before the year had ended that Balaram noted what was going on. And he came to he saw in the forest with Krishna that the day, you all remember when the cows were up on the top of the Govardhan Hill with the cowherd men, and they saw these calves, Krishna's expansions below, and they just abandoned all their good sense. They ran down the hill even though it was steep and rocky and they could have gotten hurt, but they just ran down out of so much affection to be with their calves. And the cowherd men were, no, he was trying to stop them. But then the same thing happened, that as soon as they got close to their sons, they forgot everything too, and they just picked up their sons and embraced them and shedding tears of joy to be with their sons. And Balaram's watching all this going, Krishna, what's up? What are you doing? And Balaram was actually contemplating, he's like, who, didn't say what, who is this mystic power? And where has she come from? Is she a demigod or a demoness? She must be the illusory energy of my master, Lord Krishna. For who else can bewilder me? Balaram doesn't get bewildered by anyone but Krishna's Yogamaya. So he asked Krishna, what's happening here? What's going on? And Balaram told him. Krishna told Balaram, yeah, I had to teach Brahma a lesson. So, and Balaram could understand. He said, they are all you. You yourself are playing as the calves and the boys. So Krishna told him, yes, the calves and the boys were stolen by Brahma, and he was concealing that this had happened by expanding himself so that people would know that the original calves and boys were missing. So Balaram could understand, this is not Maya, this is Krishna's opulence, another display of his opulence. And so then Lord Brahma, so again, the year when Lord Brahma returns, Balaram's not there this day, because it's his birthday again. So he's back in Vrindavan with his mother and doing all of the sacred bath and giving in charity. So when Lord Brahma returns and he sees that Krishna, everything's just how it was before he stole the cows and the cowherd boys, that they're all there. And so he's really uncertain what's going on. And when when Krishna revealed, and all of the cows and all the cowherd boys assumed their Vishnu forms, and then there's those beautiful, beautiful prayers Lord Brahma offers to Krishna. So it's just so sweet to think of how, if we want to love Krishna in a particular way, how he fulfills the desires of each and every jiva. Just like it was no effort at all for Krishna to expand himself into each and every one of those cows and cowherd boys. And he expands himself into the heart of every living entity on every planet, in every universe. We can't even imagine. It's described that this universe is just like a tiny mustard seed, a giant bag of mustard seeds. There's that many universes in the material cosmos. And then that's just a small part of the Lord's creation of the spiritual world. So it's really not a problem for Krishna to reciprocate our love and our devotion with each and every one of us. So our own devotion is fanned. It's like the spark that gets fanned and into a blazing fire by hearing and chanting all of these very sweet, sweet pastimes. I mean, Krishna comes personally to earth to exhibit these pastimes, and he brings the spiritual world, he brings his nearest and dearest devotees with him, just so that after he departs, we have all of these literatures, and these literatures, these scriptures are alive. They're not just ink on paper. They're actually alive, and they become activated by hearing and chanting and singing about them in association with devotees. So there was a request that I was just going to mention really briefly, because the 7 purposes of ISKCON you all were discussing before we got here, and Janananda Maharaj was also sharing many things from Prabhupada's writings with the League of Devotees, and even before that, Back to Godhead magazine, and then with the incorporation of ISKCON in New York City in 1966. I was just going to say, yeah. So the 3 purposes that weren't covered yet, I just had a couple thoughts on those. Is that all right with everyone if we transition to this? So I feel like we our obligation to our hosts who asked us to cover this. So number 5 is to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna. And this, actually, Srila Prabhupada expanded that vision from 1966 to include many, many holy places of pilgrimage that he did, not only while he was here on earth with us, but also empowering his followers to continue creating and restoring holy places of pilgrimage dedicated to Lord Krishna. So, and then number 6, to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler, more natural way of life. Srila Prabhupada, the present Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to keep Krishna in the center, for if this is done, all activities will automatically become beautiful and blissful. So it's not always so easy to live in community. There's often times that's when our own anarthas are exposed, and when we are so able to see the anarthas of others. Yes. I've seen, I'm old, I've seen in the course of my life a lot of devotees leave community, leave the association of devotees for some time. And then I know myself, I realized in working in the world that a lot of the same friction, a lot of the same problems, a lot of the same challenges happen wherever I go. Funny thing. Maybe it wasn't their fault, maybe it's something inside my heart. And then also to learn how to set boundaries and just other things that are so important in living in community. But you go out there and you live around people who have no interest in Krishna and Krishna consciousness. It makes myself, and I'm sure all of you, much more appreciate how important it is to have a simpler, more natural way of life with Krishna in the center. And all of these could be discussed have a whole seminar on each one of these, how to improve our relationships with one another and our own purification. But I wanted to share this one too before the bell rings, 9 o'clock. The seventh purpose, with a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. And just reflecting on what Srila Prabhupada did, what he's given us, how his life was dedicated from studying the scriptures himself and studying Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's books to creating Back to Godhead. He established that in 1944. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam and everything he's given us. And this is in Srila Prabhupada's words. It's such a beautiful quote. I went to your country with only 40 rupees and 200 sets of books. So if we take the capital of the whole business, it was the books and the rupees 40. The rupees 40 was not even touched because Indian rupees currency could not be spent in your country. In 1967, when I came back to India, the rupees 40 was paid for the taxi cab. The 200 sets of books was sold, and I was maintaining myself with great difficulty. This is from a letter to Purandar, so these are Srila Prabhupada's verbatim. And I was thinking about that, like, wow. How many of you have in the past or in the present distributed Prabhupada's books? Oh wow, okay, everyone. Thank you. How important this service is to Srila Prabhupada and to our parampara. I mean, that's how many of us came to Prabhupada through someone giving us a book? Okay, over half. And I'm guessing the other half is because you were born in the movement. So you still got here through Prabhupada's books, probably your parents. I was trying to find stats because I remembered ISKCON Communications had posted different things and put it in magazines and stuff over the years. 2014 report, we were already over 500 million of Srila Prabhupada's books had been distributed since 1965. And that was 10 years ago. I don't know if we've hit 1 billion yet. I don't know. I mean, nowadays you got to count all the digital stuff too. So, and all the, right, count all the videos and all the audiobooks and everything else. So it's pretty amazing to see how our own lives have transformed and how the society at large has transformed. And an interesting thing my dear elder sister Govinda Dasi said, when Srila Prabhupada first started talking about the golden age of Lord Chaitanya, there weren't any books yet besides Prabhupada's 3 Bhagavatams and Easy Journey to Other Planets that he came to America with. There weren't other books. So when Prabhupada was talking about this, it was like, a revelation that for the next 10,000 years, the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to spread to every town and village in the world. And Govinda Dasi asked Prabhupada, she said, but there's so many demons. And Prabhupada said, oh yes, the demons, they'll get stronger too. It was like, Prabhupada said that the golden era of Lord Chaitanya will polarize. The devotees will become more and more, and the demons will get stronger too. So it's not like, she told me that many years after, because I had this idealized version that everyone's going to be like when we go to the Rath Yatra festival, everybody's chanting and dancing, tila, kantimala, japa, everyone's chanting and dancing together, and that whole planet's going to be like that. And it's like, oh, maybe not. And we see, in some ways, it appears that demons are getting stronger, and at the same time, 500 million, maybe 1 billion literatures have been distributed. So continue, continue. We have this opportunity to, Srila Prabhupada said, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, so many places, that by following this process of devotional service, which was created by the Lord Himself, to provide a path for us to Him, back home, back to Godhead, that for ourselves and to give it to others, that's the way to become very, very dear to the Lord, is by sharing the process of devotional service with others. So, thank you very much for your attention, and appreciate you sharing the Lord's pastimes with you in this sacred Dham, this transcendental place that Srila Prabhupada has created, and all of you are working so hard to maintain. Thank you. It's a real privilege to be able to be here with you. Hare Krishna. And I didn't leave time for questions. Can we still have discussion? It's okay? Grandy?
Okay.
We're all singers and friends from San Diego, Laguna Beach.
So, I mean, Alice may have more tendency to talk about philosophy, karma, reincarnation than Krishna's pastime, you know. Does it mean we're not convinced enough that, you know, Krishna did this, or we don't have enough faith or interest in Krishna as a person, you know?
Could everyone hear the question?
Yeah.
If we're more interested in talking philosophy, karma, reincarnation, we're not this body, is that less than talking about Krishna's pastimes if we're not so inclined? No, not. I mean, it's very important for us to also be hearing and chanting Bhagavad Gita, Uddhava Gita, all of the literature Srila Prabhupada gave us, because if we don't understand I'm not this body, then there'll be so much misunderstanding with the Lord's personal pastimes, especially later in the 10th canto. So, no, many people many people are blessed to be philosophically inclined. I'm a little bit more inclined. I'm in that other, that need stories. I write children's books. I do sacred storytelling. That's my heart connection. So for me, and then my husband is very philosophical. And if the philosophy isn't wrapped in a Leela story, I might not remember it very well. If it's wrapped in a Leela story, then I have a better chance of remembering it. So different brains are wired differently, different relationships are there with the philosophy and with the Lord, just like we're hearing about these different primary rasas that the Brijvasis have with Krishna. Nothing's, none of them are better or worse. It's like they're all fabulous. However you come to Krishna, however you remember Krishna, is perfect and complete. I got to see right there.
Thank you so much. It was a very nice class. It was nice to hear you speak. I was thinking, you said in the beginning how you were going to speak about Vatsalya Ras and you don't hear about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And in the reading, a few times the word elderly came up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that how to not see it from a material perspective. Because as soon as we say the word elderly, No, I think elderly means something that we don't want. You know? So, yeah, so how to, so anyway, I think in your class that was the point. I appreciated hearing more about those pastimes and the way those specific devotees, how they love Krishna. I don't know if you wanted to say any more about just how to not see that in a materialistic, sense.
Someone mentioned to me once that the elderly gopis of Vrindavan are like, in their 20s and 30s. It's not like we think of elderly like, we think of 60s, 70s, 80s when we think of elderly. But these are, it's just because you've got the gopis that are the young girls, right? So then you've, they're referred to as the cowherd girls, and they're quite young. These pastimes right now that we're reading, so the elderly gopis are the ones that have children. It doesn't mean they're grandmas or great-grandmas or great-great-grandmas. So, yeah, that's in the Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada, one of Prabhupada's early books, where it keeps referring to elderly. Although it does mention that Nanda Maharaj has a little white hair, mostly black, but there's some white hair. Thinking, yay, we're all redeemed, all of us with white hair. Yeah, and so, but elders, there's such a respect for elders. So it's not a dirty word, like in our modern culture where anti-aging, plastic surgery, makeup, everything you can do to, keep the body looking better for more sense gratification and like that. So it wasn't it's not just then, but even now, it's not a derogatory term, it's not a bad thing to be an elder. There was so much respect in most former cultures, most indigenous cultures in the world. There was great respect for the elders. It's actually very unfortunate that our modern culture has completely thrown that out. But it's also because the way most people live their lives, they're not the wise men and women that elders previously were. So, fortunately, it's so nice to see, isn't it, in our movement that there are grandmas and great grandmas now and grandpas, and and that we have many generations. I know in the Alachua where Akadasi and I both live, we can often count 4 generations of devotees. So it's so wonderful that the children get to grow up with their parents and their grandparents, and sometimes their great-grandparents, all practicing Krishna consciousness. It makes for very, Gandharvika, Ryan and I were talking about this morning, that it makes it such a wonderful environment for children to grow up in when they have their family and their extended family. Our kids didn't get that. So it's wonderful. So anyways, for those of us who are elders, to be conscientious that we want to be a good example and an inspiration for those that we're sharing Krishna consciousness with, that we are worthy of others' respect and counsel, that they want to take counsel from us. So it's both ways. Does that help? But it is good. We don't talk very much about,
Actually, one of our senior sannyasi in the movement, I think he said that what is needed much in this movement is grandmothers. So, thank you for. I feel a little younger after your dances. It's very refreshing.
Prabhupada at one time had said that when Prabhupada was here, he was the only adult.
Yeah. When Prabhupada, you think of him starting this movement and trying to train young, immature, inexperienced
No grandparents.
men and women. And you see, all of the letters Prabhupada wrote to us, boys and girls. Please accept my blessings. Dear boys and girls, sons and daughters, always like that. he saw that we were very young and immature and had a long ways to go, and he still did his utmost to bless us and bless all of us continuously. It's not over. Prabhupada's blessings are eternally being given. He said we could all have his association through his books, and that if we continue spreading the Sankirtan movement, he will never leave. So that's we believe those words of Srila Prabhupada. And practically we see all the beautiful ways the Sankirtan movement is expanding and continues to grow and expand around the world. And we don't even know what's happening on other planets and other universes. We just know this little planet and how so much is going on. So thank you all for playing an important part. Should we end there? Okay. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.